Hello, beautiful people. I intend that you're having a magical and mystical day. I am in Benchetti Park right now, just exploring the last of Bangkok as we can because we are getting ready to head to Vietnam. And my boyfriend suggested I record a video at this park because the energy is fire. It feels good. It's beautiful. I wanted to blur the background so that you're not too distracted, but there's like a beautiful fountain, and you see, wait, let's see if we can take it off of me and you can just see it's absolutely gorgeous here. So I wanted to record here and talk about how to sustain overflow. I was somebody who could not sustain momentum. I could not sustain overflow. I could not sustain my desires. No matter how much I wanted to, it's like I will always get in my own way. Like very much self-sabotage behaviors, but I don't like to call them that in my world. I like to say self-protection, but very much self-sabotage behaviors. And recently, I would say in the last year, or since my daughter's been born really, I have taught my system, my body, my nervous system, how to hold overflow. I've created capacity within myself to, make space for all the beautiful things that wanted to come into my life. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to do that, about how to create the capacity within your system, within your life, to sustain overflow, to sustain your desires, so that as it's getting good, and I know it's getting good if you're tuned in and you're hearing in my content, and if you have not been tuning in, I am Beyond Taylor, and I am here to help you go. I've changed that. I don't say that anymore because I always say I don't want to say that I'm helping you guys do anything, because you don't need my help. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that you need assistance with. I am just simply a mirror. I am a mirror. So I am Beyond Taylor, and I am here to mirror and reflect to you how to go beyond your self-imposed limitations. Okay? So, yeah, I've gone beyond my self-imposed limitations. I had the limitations that I wasn't, worthy or deserving of one, love. So I would self-sabotage any relationship that I had. Even if it was really good for me, I would find some way to disrupt it. I had a hard time. I had the self-imposed limitations around finances. I'm still working on that. Actually, no, I haven't now. But, for a long time, I had a strong identity that money was not easy to come by. Money was hard to make. You had to work really hard in order to make money. My email is I sent them an email, and I was pretty much telling them that when I was a kid, during 2008 in the US, it was an economic disparity worldwide, nationwide. And my mom ended up losing her job, and then we ended up losing our home. Our home got foreclosed, and we were homeless for almost a year, I believe. And we were, in between her friend's house, all sleeping in one room, her, me, and my brother, who was an infant at this point. And then we were like living out of our storage unit, like going into storage every week to get clothes for the week or to get items. And I just remember, once my mom got another job and we got our own house and we got our own room again, I remember my mom worked a lot, right? So before that, my mom used to work downtown, kind of like down here, and I would always love to go to her job because it was like she was working in an office building, and I always loved the big, beautiful buildings, and I liked, she had this little cubicle, and I would see pictures of myself on the cubicle, and I don't know, it was just nice. And then on her lunch break, I remember us going out and walking around the town, going to get lunch, and my mom was always home. I would go to daycare. I would go to school, then I would go to daycare until she would come and pick me up. But for the most part, my mom was home, right? I would, from morning to afternoon, I didn't see her because she was at work. She worked a traditional 9 to 5. But on the weekends, I saw my mom. Afternoons, I saw my mom. So when my mom, after we lost our home and she got the new job, I was so happy because we were no longer living out of storage and we were no longer sharing a room. But I remember not like seeing the cost of that though. Like, okay, I get my own room, but now I don't get to see my mom as much. Now I'm an in-home babysitter. I'm always like home with my brother. Not always, like he would go back and forth between us and his dad, but like my mom was never home. She was always at work. She would work overtime. She was a cable splicer actually. She worked for like AT&T installing cable. And you know, she would have to wear these like big heavy boots. Her nails were always dirty. I remember like watching her wash her hands when she would get home from work, and it would just be like the color of the water would be so dirty, like just dirt and dirt. And yeah, she worked like 6 days out of the week, sometimes 7. So much overtime. I just never saw my mom. But my mom would always say, this is what I have to do. This is the sacrifice that I have to make so that we have a roof over our head. So to me, it's like I associated, you know, hard work. I associated survival with hard work. Yeah, let me say that. I associated survival with hard work. So whenever I started to consciously create, whenever I started to consciously manifest, and things came too easily, or anything in my life seemed too easy, I would go into self-protective mechanisms, or as is commonly known as self-sabotage. I would begin self-sabotaging. So I had a hard time sustaining overflow because I wouldn't allow the momentum to be created because it was too easy. And if it was too easy, then obviously I'm doing something wrong. And that was just a belief that got passed down to me. Like, it can't be this easy. I'm not going to be able to survive. I'm not going to be able to, you know, like, what if something's going to go wrong? I know something's going to go wrong. And like, even though I began to change my beliefs, even though I began to surround myself with information that was not suggesting this, that was suggesting that ease could be my experience, that you can manifest the life of your dreams, that like all of this was possible. Even though I was surrounding myself with that information, my body did not feel it. My body did not feel safe with when I would have videos that would go viral. I would literally feel like I was in danger. When I had my highest cash month in February, I made $7,000 cash in my business. I had signed like 3 or 4 clients back to back. I was in flow. It felt so good. After that, it was so hard for me because I didn't see that as safe. It was so against my worldview. I had never made that much money doing what I loved. I mean, the most money I had ever made at that point was like $4,000, and I had made that from being a waitress in a month. And even that, I was like, damn, because I had worked like nothing, you know. I was working like 15, 20 hours a week. So I started to see, because before that, right, how that translated, and I'm kind of bouncing around, but that's okay. Y'all here with me. This video is just kind of like a vibe video. Oh, and before we start vibing too much, so I'm gonna make this short. I do have a mastermind. It's called Overflow, where we are tapping into how to energetically sustain overflow, sustain abundance, sustain visibility, sustain clients, sustain whatever it is that your heart desires. We teach you how to do it on an energetic level, so that you can find yourself right in the middle of your manifestations, which I have found myself in the middle of my manifestations. I wouldn't, even before we started traveling, I mean, I saw it in my imagination, so of course I knew it was going to happen, but being in the middle of it, it still was like, wow, look at my life. This is my life, yo. This is my life. Like, how did I go from being a, you know, cocaine addict, alcoholic? I wasn't really an alcoholic. Alcohol was just like what I used for my uppers, but I loved uppers, like cocaine addict, ecstasy addict, pill popper, in and out of rehab, to live in this life where I am genuinely at peace. Like, I'm genuinely at peace. And this is just like an outer reflection of my peace that I feel within. But back to the story of what I was saying about, you know, how those beliefs just poured over, right? I had worked like 2 jobs at one point, right? Because when I was growing up, I just always was scared of being homeless again. So I wouldn't ask my mom for money. I wouldn't ask my mom for things. And when I turned 16, I got my first job and I was so happy. And I would like work as hard as I can to get the things that I wanted. And that was like my program. It's like, you have to work hard in order to get the things that you want. So for me to have made content, sent a couple emails, and I made $7,000 in a month, my system went into a shock. It was like, wait a minute, hey yo, hey yo. And even when like my channel would start growing, the first time it went from like 900 to 7,000 subs in, I don't even know, I think it was like 2 or 3 months. My system went, hey yo. And every single time I experienced like a rapid amount of growth, my system would reject it. So then it would like slow things down, where now I feel like I've really been able to tap into the ability to sustain overflow by creating expansion within me energetically. Not just thinking that it's okay, it's all good, everything's all good, but like really being able to create energetically that expansion. So how do I do that? Well, I don't want to give a whole like video on that. I said this was going to be chill because it's going to be a while. But really what I do is that I teach my body how to feel the emotions that I associate, like the uncomfortable emotions or the emotions that usually come up when, you know, my life is changing rapidly. And usually I'll associate that with discomfort, or I associate that with like it triggers a certain response within me that makes me self-sabotage. So what I started to do was become very aware of when that's happening, and then teach myself how to be with that emotion, how to amplify it, how to teach my system to see that emotion as safe and not something that we need to run from or protect ourselves from, right? This emotion being here is not evidence that what happened to us in the past is going to happen again, because that's usually what we are going through subconsciously without even realizing that like, oh, when something massive and big and change, like a transformation is happening in your life, and your system doesn't see that as safe or as natural, as normal, it's going to trigger something within you that makes you go like, stay where you are. Okay? The way to get over that hump is just by teaching your system how to be with it. So that's one of the things. And then also self-inquiry. I see very clearly, but through doing the teaching myself how to feel, self-inquiry has became like so much easier to do. But before I did self-inquiry for years, and I still felt like I was not able to like surrender, like the surrendering process wasn't happening. But but with the working with my nervous system, teaching myself how to feel, right? It's not about feeling good. It's about getting good at feeling. Shout out to Shayna Rassis. That's my mentor. She taught me that. And now I teach my clients the same exact thing, what we're going to talk about inside of the mastermind. It's not about feeling good. It's about getting good at feeling. Just getting good at being able to just be with sensation. So with that, self-inquiry became much easier when I started to question the nature of the self. Well, who am I? Who is it that's my thoughts? You know, started to question the nature of myself in my mind. And now I don't even need to ask that question anymore, because when the thought of who am I comes up, I can see it as just a thought. Where before, if I would see it as just a thought, there was a lot of fear that would come up around it. And because I didn't know how to sit with the fear, I would just cling to a thought around the fear. But now there's enough space within my system. There's enough space within myself for the fear to just be. And I don't need it to be anything other than what it is. And then I don't have to cling on to the thoughts. And then now I'm just now I'm just as I am. I'm just the open space in which everything can come and go. And now it's so much easier to sustain overflow. It's so much easier to sustain and to have things just continue to get better and better and better and better. My life just continues to improve. My business continues to succeed. The people the people inside of my containers continue to win. And none of this scares me anymore. Of course, the sensations will be there. The thoughts will be there. But I am not the thoughts and I am not the sensation. I taught my system how to do that. And I could teach you how to do the same. Or I can demonstrate, be a mirror, amplify for you how to do the same. I can reflect to you how to do the same. So if you're interested in the 6-month mastermind, where I hold you through all the identity shifts as you shift timelines, the application is down below. It is application based because I want the container to be, you know, integrity. Integrity is the word I'm looking for, right? I want to make sure that everybody's not like on too far of different levels, so that I can communicate, I can transmit messages without having to explain too much what I'm transmitting, right? So that's why there's applications, and then from there we'll hop on a call just to see if you're a good fit. Because yeah, I want to make sure that the group's dynamic is supportive of each other in this energy, in timeline shifting, all that good stuff. So that's all I got for you. I said short, 15 minutes, mainly because I'm hot. But that's all I got. I love you guys so much, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.